The Point with Greta Van Susteren. Did he escape?
Any country in the world that would knowingly harbor bin Laden would be out of their minds.
Is he still in hiding?
We have reduced the number of areas within Afghanistan where they're likely to be.
Is it just bad luck? Or are Afghanistan's warlords allowing Taliban and Al-Qaeda leaders to get away? Flashpoint. With friends like these, he was convicted of killing a policeman 20 years ago. Today, a judge threw out his death sentence. Tonight, the uproar and the reaction, including a talk with the officer's widow and attorney Johnny Cochran. And from a Maine congregation with love.
People always say they want to help, but yet they never do anything. So I started something.
Hi, Santa Claus.
Yes, I am.
A small happy ending to a New York family's pain-filled year. The Point. Now, from Washington, Greta Van Susteren.
We keep seeing prisoners, but not the ones we want. U.S. allies in Afghanistan keep parading captured Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and Arab fighters in front of cameras. Small fry, but no big fish. Nobody seems to know where Osama bin Laden, Mullah Omar, or the rest of Al-Qaeda's leadership may be hiding. Some people suspect Afghanistan's faction leaders and warlords may know more than they're telling, or they may have made deals, letting the leaders go in order to get the fighters to surrender. Flashpoint, with friends like these, what is the U.S. to do? Let's talk over the options. Joining me here in Washington are radio talk show host Armstrong Williams and Haroon Amin, who is a spokesman for Afghanistan's Northern Alliance. Haroon, first to you, what about the growing criticism that the Northern Alliance is maybe letting some Taliban Al-Qaeda go?
I think it's very absolutely unfounded. Let's look at it from the very start. We had problems and critics saying that problems existed, the coalition didn't have it together, that the Muslim world was going to not support the coalition, that Ramadan was on the way, the winter was a problem. All those critics right now prove to be not correct in Afghanistan. Again, they're saying...
Why are there so few Taliban prisoners?
Well, we've tried our best. The special forces have been on the ground. The international campaign has been side by side with us on the ground. Wherever they've said, let's go, we've gone with them. We've done our best. The special forces and international coalition has done their best, and if that's not good enough, that's not the problem. But we have to see this campaign is part of an international campaign. If Afghanistan is where Al-Qaeda's leadership and Taliban top leadership is not founded, we have to look across elsewhere. And right now, Pakistan is the place where Taliban top leadership escaped to. It might be the site where Osama and others might also escape to, and then the resolve should go into Pakistan and then push the Pakistani government to also cooperate in the same line that we have cooperated with the international coalition.
Armstrong, how can we be critical of the Northern Alliance? The U.S. has not been able to get Osama bin Laden or Mullah Omar either.
Well, you know, I think it's worth noting when you look at those pictures of the North Alliance hugging and embracing the Taliban and part of that network, one would be foolish or naive to not think that there's a deeper relationship going on there and that the Northern Alliance...
But is there any evidence of it? I mean, that may be your assumption from, but I mean, do you have any evidence that the Northern Alliance is basically giving the Taliban and Al-Qaeda leadership a pass?
Well, you know, there have been reports. You know, we should not forget that it was the Pakistani government that created the Taliban, and from people who've been there on the ground, it has been reported that in areas of Pakistan and in that area, the Taliban is more welcome in areas of Pakistan than American soldiers are. I mean, it's just in terms of the treatment of these soldiers there. And the fact is, I mean, the point you made in your opening, the fact that we're only getting small fries, are you saying to me that these people have no idea where bin Laden and his top lieutenants are? They know that terrain just as well as they do. I think the fact of the matter is, the point is this, is that absolutely what they're doing, they cut a deal, it's obvious they cut a deal that we would turn over some of the soldiers to make it seem as though that you're achieving your goal.
Let me say, obviously cut a deal. What is the obviously?
It is obvious that they're still in bed together. It's obvious is that their allegiances is not necessary to the United States and its allies. It's still to Afghanistan and the Taliban and everybody else.
All right, let me let Haroon answer that. Haroon.
I can see that Mr. Armstrong that is not correct in this assessment. Let me, if I may finish. we have been brutalized by Al-Qaeda and the Taliban long before anybody else has been. Thousands of our people have been killed and our towns have been destroyed. Al-Qaeda killed our greatest leader, who was Commander Ahmad Shah Massoud. We want Al-Qaeda as much destroyed as as the Americans want. We want Osama bin Laden as much as anybody else, if not more. So the key is that we've gone in this campaign all together. There has been no let go of these people. There has been no amnesty declared on Al-Qaeda or the Taliban top leadership. But in this campaign, it could have been that the Taliban did escape into Pakistan, and I'm saying the campaign is part of an international campaign. If Al-Qaeda people, if the Taliban leadership is not in Afghanistan, then we have to look elsewhere.
Haruna, is Northern Alliance at this point more interested in sort of the recovery or reconstruction of Afghanistan, and terrorism really isn't the agenda that maybe the U.S. has?
Hamid Karzai, who is the head of the interim authority, has declared terrorism to be the most important thing in Afghanistan. Remember that if Afghanistan cannot be transformed right now, it will never be transformed, and it's going to be again serving as the hotbed of terrorism. We want to make sure that that's not going to recur in Afghanistan, that the Taliban from across the border are going to come back into Afghanistan and turn it again into the rat's nest that they once turned it into. So the key to success is making sure the total obliteration and annihilation of Al-Qaeda and Taliban, the kind of a draconian agenda.
You know, that sounds good in terms of rhetoric, but in terms of the action of what we've seen thus far, that is not the case in Afghanistan. And I think there's another grim reality here.
Wait, you got to tell me how, Armstrong. Why isn't it reality?
It's just not the reality. I mean, I find it hard to believe, like most Americans, that the Northern Alliance has no idea where Osama bin Laden and many of his top lieutenants are hiding.
Well, are you suggesting, Armstrong, that Haroon and the Northern Alliance know exactly where he is and they're basically hiding him?
I would say this. I would suggest that they know far more than they're telling us, and I think there's some degree of allegiances that they still have with this Al-Qaeda network.
Haroon, is there any chance that you and the Northern Alliance know where Osama bin Laden is and you're simply looking the other way?
Let me say that this is the most ill-founded and ludicrous allegation against us whatsoever. I can tell you that should there be any apprehension, Mr. Rumsfeld, Mr. Wolfowitz, and others would have released it on the ground. You've seen American soldiers, you've seen American special ops on the ground working shoulder to shoulder with us, and there is absolutely no reason for anyone to claim otherwise. We have been so sincere in this whole campaign.
How do you hug and embrace somebody that you seem to have defiance and anger against if they were heaping all this destruction on your country? How do you embrace them? How do you let them go free and take the food from people who have been starving for decades and decades? How can you justify that?
These are people, low-ranking Taliban. Low-ranking Taliban. I'm telling you, you have to look into the top Taliban leadership who have been part of the Al-Qaeda, who have got a nexus to the Al-Qaeda international or terrorism, who are responsible for September 11, who are responsible for the murder of the Afghan people, for atrocities against the Afghan nation. We want them.
And I hope both of you gentlemen will come back to continue this discussion. I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about in the weeks to come. Armstrong, Williams, and Haroon Amin, thank you for joining me tonight. Next, September 11th is followed by Christmas, after all.
Next, they gave a victim's family reason to hope.
These are the people that tried to help you.
A story of faith in action. And later, fury in Philadelphia. Why a judge overturned a convicted cop killer's death sentence. When The Point continues.
American Heroes is brought to you by AT&T Wireless. Your world close at hand.
This holiday, stay connected to the people who matter most. With the Shared Advantage plan from AT&T Wireless, you'll get unlimited local calling between plan members. So Dad could talk to Mom could talk to the kids, and the kids could talk to each other as often as they like. Start with 2 phone lines for $59.99 a month, and add up to 3 more for only $9.99 each. You can also get up to 5 free phones, with nationwide long distance included and plenty of minutes to go around. All for life. Call 1-800-IMAGINE today for a gift that will have the whole family talking.
Americans are asking what is expected of us.
What is expected of us?
What is expected of us?
We ask you to live your lives.
Do your business.
Do your business around the country.
Fly and enjoy
America's great destination spots.
Take your family. Enjoy life.
The way we want it to be enjoyed. Greatness is found.
Greatness is found
When American character.
and American courage. American courage.
Can overcome American challenges.
And we will.
And we will.
Troy, I know you got out for a reason. You're worried about getting hurt. But it's a year later. I really think it's time. If you don't get back in, you're going to regret it. Remember what I told you. Think mutual funds. Stay diversified.
Any tax implications?
Wouldn't it be great if the person you trust most was your broker?
Is there a healthcare fund that looks attractive?
At Schwab, our mutual fund advice is always objective, uncomplicated, and not driven by commission. Call 1-800-4-NO-LOAD to find out which fund is right for you.
I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman.
Oxygen. Tune in to the fastest growing network for women.
I'm Larry King. From all of us here at CNN to everybody around the world, season's greetings and best wishes for the holidays.
An exclusive view under Ground Zero. I'm Paula Zahn. Tomorrow, the man in charge of the government's emergency efforts joins us. He'll have video you've never seen before. You can depend on CNN tomorrow morning at 7 Eastern.
Describe Santa Claus. Red goatee, glasses, comes from a church in Maine, takes taxis, right? Don't argue. Just watch this report from CNN's Maria Hinojosa.
He is a stranger from faraway Maine on a voyage to a city in need. A.J. Dinkins, a humble churchgoer, an angel come bearing gifts. A teddy bear for the toy drive at Rockefeller Center.
Santa Claus on skates.
A wide-eyed tourist unafraid of visiting high-profile landmarks.
Look at that one.
And facing the ones that symbolize a nation's fear.
I needed to see Ground Zero to give me a better little understanding. I mean, I just needed this closeness.
He needed to see the memorials up close.
People always say they want to help, but yet they never do anything. So I started something, and I wanted to make sure I stuck to it, and this is my way of trying to help.
So from Ground Zero, AJ, a gay hairdresser from tiny Augusta, Maine, travels to the far reaches of the Bronx to help an undocumented Mexican widow he's never met before.
Hi, Santa Claus.
Yes, I am.
Julia Hernandez with her 4 little kids, but without her husband Antonio, who was also undocumented. A butcher at Windows on the World restaurant, and now gone forever.
We'll be proud to put this up on our church wall.
AJ is a messenger from the quaint South Parish Congregational Church.
These are the people that tried to help you.
Julia shows AJ the altar for her lost husband. Then little Yaritza shares a journal she's writing to her dad.
I know that they will find you.
I know that they will find you.
Her anguish is still so raw, so hard for anyone to see. So AJ makes a map on the floor to show just where Maine is.
This is Maine.
And then the gifts start to flow.
You like dolls?
A glass ornament for the tree.
Ay, qué lindo. Feliz Navidad.
Books for Julia, chicken soup for the soul in Spanish, a Bible, and money raised by AJ's church.
We wanted you to have $2,000.
An invitation to visit Maine, a week of free summer camp for the kids.
Jeez.
A quick photograph and a number to call for help.
And you just tell them you want to speak to AJ.
Strangers not long ago
Bye-bye. Come to Maine.
made friends by a visit full of hope. Maria Hinojosa, CNN, New York.
CSFB Direct, the highest rating for ease of use, and the #1 rating for broadest range of investment choices by Barron's. That's the difference between online trading and direct investing from CSFB Direct.
Closed captioning provided by U.S. Search. Know who you're hiring with background checks and employment screening from U.S. Search. Visit us at corporate.ussearch.com or call 1-800-US-SEARCH.
You're watching The Point with Greta Van Susteren. Next, the interviews you'll never forget on Larry King Live, followed by Newsnight with Aaron Brown. You can depend on CNN tonight.
Want to explore more of your world? Just wander into your living room. Get more eye-opening nature and science channels from Comcast Digital Cable.
CNAs, we got more game. College hoops. What's it all mean? More jam, slams, and dunks. Got it? Get it. CNA College Hoops all season long. We got more game on CNA. Tune in, jam out.
Winter air makes it worse. So can blow drying. That's scalp stress itch. And Scalpicin stops it. Clean, unscented, medicated to stop scalp stress itch.
Every time.
Scalpicin stops scalp stress itch.
Now you can enjoy Sunday even more by getting the New York Times delivered to your home every weekend. And when you call now, you'll get 50% off the regular home delivery price. And you'll get the book review, Arts and Leisure, Week in Review, and the New York Times Magazine.
Sunday was made for the New York Times.
I thought dating again would be tough.
He's cute. Is he younger than me?
Maybe getting rid of my gray hair was just what I needed.
Just for men. More than a hair color, it's a hair rejuvenator. Gray hair is shampooed away in 5 easy minutes. Vitamin Enriched Just for Men brings back a thicker, healthier, natural look.
I wonder how I did tonight.
Would you like to come in?
Just for Men, the rejuvenator.
My brother took Oxy. Everybody looked up to her. He came home, he could hardly walk. They were both young, my sister and Eddie was. The next morning, I went up to go check on him. My sister Lauren died, and he was dead. Eddie died the same thing as my sister. It doesn't take that much to kill you. I didn't even know about OxyContin.
Make sure you know about OxyContin. I'm State Representative Marie Lederer. Please talk to your children.
Most watched cable news network.
I'm Lou Dobbs with this Moneyline update. Stocks building on yesterday's gains. The Dow up 106 points, just missing the 10,000 level. The Nasdaq up 17 points, above 2,000. Construction of new homes up more than 8% in November, and retailers reporting disappointing sales. Watch Moneyline weeknight, 6 p.m. Eastern on CNN.
Moneyline Update is brought to you by FedEx. Shipping at FedEx.com. It's fast, it's easy, and it just got cheaper.
So the bun cake was bad?
The bun cake was abysmal, but you're missing the point of the story. The entire staff has food poisoning, leaving packages to be shipped, deadlines to be met, and one sales manager to do it all.
Just one?
One.
You mean have the bun cake?
He had the Danish. Stay with me. He jumps on FedEx.com. He's shipping, he's tracking, getting confirmations on his cell phone, his pager, his PDA.
He's got a PDA?
Everybody's got a PDA. Nevertheless, packages arrive, he triumphs over adversity.
I don't have a PDA.
Check, please.
$34, $51, $45 last month for long distance. How much are you paying? You need Sprint 500 anytime. 500 state-to-state minutes to use any day, anytime for $25 a month. $25 a month is going to help a lot of people. Sprint 500 anytime. The smarter way to cut your long distance bill. Sign up now. Call 1-800-PIN-DROP.
New America Online version 7.0 is here.
There's never been a better time to join.
What are you waiting for? Call 1-877-265-0100 now for AOL's best offer ever.
7.0 is filled with a whole bunch of new stuff.
No one has what AOL has.
Call now and do things with new AOL 7.0 you could never do before.
There's even more local information.
News, weather, sports.
Radio without any static right on my computer. 7.0 makes shopping easier. AOL is super fast.
Call now and see how new AOL version 7.0 can keep you in touch with friends and family.
I can be talking to a few people at the same time.
All of a sudden, ding, you
got your instant messages.
You've got mail. It's fun getting email.
You've got mail.
Hers should say you've got lots of mail.
Call now and see how easy it is to get started. Sign up over the phone and be online in minutes.
7.0 makes it even easier.
Call 1-877-265-0100 now to join AOL and get a risk-free special offer for new members. It's our best offer ever.
AOL is wonderful.
America Online, so easy to use, no wonder it's #1.
He's still convicted of first-degree murder. That isn't going to change. But today, a federal judge overturned the death sentence of author and one-time activist Mumia Abu-Jamal. He was convicted of killing Philadelphia policeman Daniel Faulkner on December 9, 1981. For years, Abu-Jamal's death sentence has been the subject of protest. Today's ruling says the jury was not correctly instructed on how to consider mitigating circumstances during the sentencing phase of the trial. But the judge refused to throw out Abu-Jamal's conviction. Joining me from Los Angeles is Johnny Cochran. Johnny, welcome.
Thank you, Greta. It's always good to be with you.
Nice to see you. Johnny, everyone knows you as a defense attorney, but you've also been a prosecutor and you've also done wrongful death cases where you represent people who have had loved ones murdered. Tell me, what do you tell the family, like even the widow of Daniel Faulkner tonight?
Well, it's a very difficult time. It's been 20 years, and my heart goes out to the widow after 20 years of battles, and you never get closure. And you know, I fully understand this, both from the defense and as one who suffered the loss of loved ones. On the other hand, however, here's a judge, a federal judge, who looks at this case and says this jury was not charged appropriately, that there needs to be a new resentencing. So if we believe in justice, we have to believe that justice triumphed, at least from the standpoint he has to be resentenced in 180 days. So I think that if you believe in the whole process, you have to take some heart in it that it still works even after 20 years. It's painful, but I think that it says the system does work.
Well, Maureen Faulkner's going to join me in a minute, Johnny, but, you know, I suspect that one of the concerns that she has and people watching out there is, yes, justice must be right, it must be fair, but 20 years? This is a murder going back to 1981.
Oh, it really does. It goes back a very long time, and these things take a very long time. But there have been so many twists and turns in this case. You know, he's probably the most famous prisoner on death row in this country. There's been so much attention brought to it. But finally, a federal judge looks at the charge of the jury. And there have been a lot of complaints about this judge, the trial judge, and he says that was wrong. And so they've got to resentence him within a certain period of time, or he gets life in prison. The other motions were denied, Greta. He doesn't get out. But it certainly says at least there was this mistake. And I think all of us have to, if there was a mistake in the trial, that has to be corrected, or at least certainly he shouldn't be sentenced to death.
Why do you think so many celebrities came out and supported him?
I think because primarily his background, I think looking beyond what took place back in 1981, he is a journalist, a person, an articulate spokesperson who writes from jail, and he's very highly visible. So I think that's probably it. I think a lot of people have felt this was a cause celeb, those especially who don't believe in the death penalty. There's a lot of Americans who believe that that's an inappropriate penalty, that the state should not be in the business of killing people, because it's not a perfect system, as we well know, and there are a lot of mistakes made. Now, that doesn't
But you know, Johnny, you know, this was one of those cases with, you know, a cold-blooded murder of a police officer. This is, you know, this is a case that's resonated certainly in the community and certainly among police officers.
No, it certainly does, and it's always a very difficult case. I was not at the trial. I don't know all the facts of the case, but he's maintained his innocence in recent years. I know there's a witness who came forward that I don't know whether he's credible or not, but we don't even get to that. What we're saying, this judge said, the trial judge, the federal judge today said, the trial judge made mistakes in charging that jury. They did not really get to look at the mitigating circumstances, which is what, if you're going to have a system, it's got to be fair for everybody, even those charged with the most heinous of offenses. And that's what makes our system great. If it can work for the least of us, or those who are charged with the most serious of offenses, then it can work for all of us.
All right, so there isn't a chance, at least at this point, that he's going to be walking free. The verdict itself was not reversed on guilt aspect of it, but at the sentencing, he's going to get a new trial, at least at this point, on a death sentence. As a defense lawyer, how do you argue for life for him? What's the process?
Oh, I think that what they're talking about is the mitigating aspect, and I think just as the prosecutor will try to show...
What's mitigating?
Well, you know, you'd have to look at what the facts were, and certainly his life. I think that certainly now we're talking about sparing his life at this point. I think you should look at what he's done with his life over the course of the last 20 years. That may be relevant. What he did even before that time. You know, he had no previous arrest or whatever. Now, keep in mind, this is a heinous offense, and some people believe that given this kind of offense, that you automatically qualify for the death penalty. But you still would have to listen to the mitigating circumstances. In 180 days, the lawyer's going to have to amass what the mitigating circumstances are. The prosecutor will amass the aggravating circumstances, and then a trier of fact, the judge will have to make a final decision.
All right, my thanks as always to Johnny Cochran for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. It's good to be with you. My heart goes out to the family also.
Thank you, Johnny. Now from Camarillo, California, I'm joined by the slain police officer's widow, Maureen Faulkner. Maureen, thank you as well for joining me this evening. Maureen, how hard is this for you?
When I got the news from you, Burns, from the district attorney's office this morning, I was numb. I am outraged, I'm angry, I'm sad. This is emotional turmoil for myself and my family. I mean, we have been going through this for 20 years.
Who are you angry at, Maureen, besides obviously the defendant in this case?
Well, I feel that we've been victimized by Mumia Abdul-Jamal, who murdered Danny, and also by the justice system, who continues to reopen the wounds of this case by the appeal system over and over and over again. Judge Yan has upheld the conviction. However, he does believe that he deserves a new sentencing hearing from words on a form that the jurors signed 20 years ago.
Maureen, I assume you attended the sentencing 20 years ago, is that right?
Yes, I've been to the 1982 trial, the 1995 Post-Conviction Relief Act hearing, 96, 97. I was in court for a briefing just last August. And what people don't realize is our family, when we go into the courtroom, we are screamed at. There's chants going on, no peace, no justice, and there's thousands of people protesting in the streets, and it's a media. The media is there, and it's a circus, and it's disturbing for the family and I.
Maureen, if indeed, I mean, this decision by this judge today can be reviewed by a federal court of appeals, but in the event a federal court of appeals agrees with this trial court judge that the sentencing process, not the verdict, but the sentencing process was unfair, do you want the system to be, do you want this to be fair, even though, I mean, obviously this is terribly tragic for you?
I believe in capital punishment. I believe that Danny was murdered in cold blood on the streets of Philadelphia on a cold December night, just weeks before Christmas, and now we're going through this turmoil once again, and a jury of 12 sentenced Mumia Abdul-Jamal to the death penalty. I just want what the jury of 12 has carried out.
If indeed, though, the judge made a mistake 20 years ago, and a jury will again have the opportunity to hear, even though it's terrible for your family and it's terrible for you personally, but if indeed there was a mistake, would you prefer, rather than relying on that mistake, that we go through the process and do it the right way, and however the chips may fall, they fall?
Well, I believe it was done right in 1982, the right way. No, I will not allow it. The chips may fall as they may. I'm going to go to the court. If the appeal process, if we do have to go back to the court hearing for a sentencing hearing, I will be there every single day. And I will stand up and speak out for the death penalty, whether jury of 12.
What do you want to say to that jury?
That, well, I really don't know what I want to say to them right at this point. I just have too many emotions going on in my mind today.
Does it ever, I mean, does it ever get any easier for you or your family?
No, it does not. And I think it was not very good timing for Judge Yan to come out. He has been sitting on this case for 2 years. And for him to come out 1 week before the Christmas holidays,
do you mean to tell me the judge?
Once again, our family.
Do you mean to tell me the judge has been sitting on this case for 2 years?
Yes, Judge William Yan has been sitting on this case for 2 years. And he has made a decision 1 week before the Christmas holidays. I was back last week for the 20-year anniversary for a memorial for Danny. We put a bronze plaque in the ground where he was murdered. And on my flight home, I thought, you know, may God help us through this time, but may also the family and I have some peace over the holidays with this case. So I was very disturbed.
And indeed, your family should have peace, and the judge shouldn't sit on a case at all. My thanks tonight to Maureen Faulkner for taking the time to join us. Let me know what you think about the Mumia Abu Jamal decision. Send an email to askgreta@cnn.com. That's one word, Ask Greta. I'm Greta Van Susteren in Washington. Up next, First Lady Laura Bush and Larry King.